Welcome everyone. Today Roni and I are going to talk about the self-protecting ADLC and how we help you secure the agentic development lifecycle in real time. The paradigm has shifted. AI isn't just another tool, it's a new software layer. Cycode helps you secure this new paradigm that now creates the vast majority of your source code, and we call it ADLC security. At the same time, we're also enabling AppSec agentic workflow through our platform to help you and your team automate security at the speed of AI. Today, we will cover both topics. First, let's start with ADLC security. There are two new surfaces to secure today. First, the developer surface, essentially how AI affects your developers with AI coding assistant, model, and MCP usage. We want to make sure that using AI isn't opening the door to new supply chain attack, for instance. The second surface is the product surface, or how AI is used inside the application your organization builds and how we protect it against new security risks like prompt injection or data leakage. Overall, our ADLC product strategy rests on three pillars: visibility, governance, and guardrails. Visibility gives you the inventory, governance lets you set policy and manage your overall AI risk posture, and guardrails actively block risk at the endpoint, mostly your developer's laptop. I will walk you through each pillar. Starting with visibility. You cannot protect what you cannot see, as most things with security. So first, we map your entire AI ecosystem end to end. It means we're detecting coding assistants, model, MCP server, packages, secret, rules file, etc. that are used across your entire software stack and associated with AI usage. Then we tie every commit back to the agent that wrote it for full traceability. We show you how your developers actually use AI with integration with Cursor or Anthropic APIs, as well as monitor every MCP server invocation to keep the agentic interface secure and compliant. Then governance turns this visibility into controls. We automatically enforce approved usage, flagging or blocking any unapproved model or MCP server, and centralize your AI risk in one place. Ultimately, what you get is one source of truth regarding your entire AI security posture. And finally, we have guardrails. They act in real time. We secure the endpoint. So for instance, we avoid having secrets to reach an LLM through an agentic coding session. But further than that, we turn agents into security-aware partners with a self-healing loop. It means that when the agent writes the code, Cycode MCP scans it and partner with the agent behind the scene to fix it before the developer actually commits the code. That's what we call Cycode self-protecting ADLC. So this wraps today's ADLC security presentation, and now I will hand it over to Roni to show you how Cycode AI automate your AppSec workflows.
Thank you, Guillaume. So I'm Roni. I'm going to tell you about Cycode AI. First, let's start with what Cycode AI is. Over the last few years, we built multiple AI agents into Cycode platform, including CV analysis, exploitability analysis, and remediation agents that are helping our customers run faster. Recently, we connected our agents to one orchestrator called Maestro. Maestro is able to connect the different agents in non-trivial ways. For instance, Maestro is able to gather application-specific information from a code repository and then explain how it connects to a specific violation that you are interested in. Recently, we analyzed how our users use Maestro and what they're trying to achieve with it. What we found out is the largest category is they're trying to use Maestro to explain to them how they can leverage Cycode platform to do their work more effortlessly. The second large category is triage. They're asking how they can focus on what really matters and fix that before they move on to the rest of the things. So after analyzing these conversations, we decided to act on it, and we built additional capabilities into Maestro AI. First is the documentation agent. The documentation agent is able to reason over Cycode documentation. It is able to find information in Cycode documentation, and it is able to help the users to leverage Cycode platform in better ways. Second, we built the SCA upgrade analysis agent. This agent looks at an SCA vulnerability, a CA violation. It looks at the code, and in the context of your code, it is able to analyze what kind of effort would it require in order to fix it. This helps both security teams and developers understand what they're dealing with even before they start working on it. This helps them prioritize and fix what they want to fix and what they are able to fix. Third, we launched the AI rule file generation agent. So Maestro now is able to look at the security posture of Cycode platform, and it is able to analyze the code and the patterns in the code and write an AI rule file. We understand now that more and more code is written by AI coding assistants. This is our opportunity to affect them and create rule files that would make the future code more secure and have less of the violations, less of the vulnerabilities that this repo has right now. And the most exciting capabilities we're launching now is AI agents in automation workflows. So up until now, users were able to trigger AI agents or ask Maestro questions or run remediation or exploitability on specific violations. Now they're able to do it at scale. They're able to decide that this specific asset is worth protecting, so we're going to remediate immediately everything. Or maybe we want to run exploitability analysis only on high business impact projects, or any variation of that. They can decide what they want to do, and it empowers the security teams to move at machine speed now that attackers are using machine speed to attack them. So, to summarize, our customers are now better prepared for the future, for the upcoming future. They can run efforts to burn down this large backlog in a very fast and efficient way. And now we've opened the door to a self-improving ADLC by introducing this AI rule file generation. So what happens now is you burn down your backlog, you have this set of vulnerabilities in this repo, you're able to generate an AI rule file that would reduce the amount of those. Once you burn them down, in the next iteration, your AI rule file will adapt and evolve into something that is more sufficient and more relevant to the new situation and the new posture. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so following this presentation, I think we can clearly say that those innovations point to a new reality. Security teams are now asked to do two things at once: secure how AI is used in development and adopt AI themselves to keep pace with the speed and scale of the agentic development. But what matters most is how practitioners are actually leading their teams through this shift. And today, we're joined by two security veterans doing exactly that. So Carina Blair, Application Security Manager at Spring Health, where she's navigating security and agentic development inside a very fast-moving healthcare tech company. We're also joined by Cassio Batista Pereira, an Application Security Evangelist at StoneX. StoneX is the Fortune 500 financial service firm. And he has built a thriving security champion program using creative gamification and tools like AI remediation to help champion level up faster and get better outcomes. So Carina, Cassio, great to have both of you here today with us. So we're going to jump right in. We have quite a lot of questions to ask both of you with Roni today. And I'm going to start with you, Carina. And understanding from your today's role at Spring Health, where are you in adopting agentic development today? What are the kind of risky behavior you've seen so far?
At the beginning of this year, the Springhouse's development team decided to make a very, very important shift to using a more of an ADLC model when it comes to development. This is very exciting and also very daunting, if you can imagine, because AI is still very fresh and very new. So a lot of the things that we were, facing as far as risks were concerned were the fact that we didn't know what the heck was going on. And so it was great, though. We got to learn so much and work with our development team to figure out what their goals were and to figure out where they wanted to use AI. And some of the risk behavior was we're trying out tools we know very little about. They haven't been around long enough for us to be able to assess some of the risks and things of that nature. And then we're incorporating them into systems that they're very beneficial, but we just don't know what we don't know yet. and it's extremely risky. And the adoption of a lot of autonomous behavior makes it a little bit more difficult to figure out, where's this originating from. We see an action happen, an event happen, but where is it actually coming from? Is it coming from one of our agentic tools? Is it coming from one of our standard model tools? Is it coming from one of our developers? These are all important things to kind of know where origination happens, so that we can go and look into things. And that kind of became a little bit of some of the riskier sides of our initial agentic development side of things, especially since we had an uptick in supply chain issues this year. In the beginning of the year, it's a lot of onboarding, again, AI tools who are an open source or new, and so they haven't gotten really their supply chain locked down yet. So a lot of that kind of happened at the beginning of the year.
So, like, the first, like, this is what we presented kind of before in our framework of like going through those new risks, is like the first step from what I understood was clearly visibility. You started with like very little visibility, and the first step was to get that visibility. So it sounds like from the way you actually are getting this visibility is through like a ADLC module that actually we presented at Cycode is partially this one, and you're probably also using like other like solutions or even homegrown like a solution. It would be interesting to understand which, like, what you're doing, like what you've done actually to get there, to get into that status. And sounds like you have like more visibility, definitely from what I'm hearing. Do you still have gaps that you're kind of aware of? Because that's always the challenge, obviously, with visibility. You probably have gaps that you don't know about. But now that you have that visibility, do you still like face gaps, and important one that you're trying to close as we speak?
There are a few. We have a lot of visibility now into a lot of the skills and tools that people are using when it comes to our standardized like Claude or Cursor or Codec, Code, Codex. But there are new tools that are popping up to help manage the varying models that we're still kind of finding gaps in, where people are using development tools to allow them to pick the best model for their ask or pick the best response. Those you still have a hard time trying to figure out how we're going to tackle making sure that what's happening is done in a secure way, and they're not sending insecure information to the request. Um, that's kind of the gap that we have right now, but that's one of those ones we're not even quite sure how to solve, because it's a odd situation, if you can understand, of where do we put the hooks if the hooks are just being kind of sent to the models versus actually being housed in the tool. So it's a little bit different configuration. So that's kind of the big gap that we have now with development, is just figuring out how we're going to help them securely participate with those tools.
Super interesting.
Yes.
I have a question to Cassio. Your security champions program, its structure maps really well to how we think about security maturity. Can we dig into that? Can you tell us how you gamified it, and how do champions move through levels? How do they progress?
Oh yeah. First of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. The program is like quite huge, I would say. It's a bunch of goals through those levels, as you said. And just to clarify to each one, like basically we have like white belt, green belt, yellow belt, purple belt, black belt. That's how the champions progress on the levels, and each level we have specific goals. Once you are black belt, means that we are doing AppSec from all the perspectives, everything we want as security for the company, right? But it's so many. There are so many goals that you cannot do at once. Of course, that's why we have those levels to make the individuals progress and do like step by step. So, for example, on the white belts, the first level, you need to have all your repositories being scanned by Cycode, for example. You need to have a CI/CD policy. You need to have your PR blocking, for example, right? Or PR scanned. While in the yellow belt, the second level, for example, you need to start blocking the merge. You need to reduce the risk by 15%, for example. So the idea of levels is to give to the champions and to the teams a way of doing AppSec easily. Like, oh, now you need to block everything, fix everything. Yeah, that's my wish as a security guy, but it's impossible, right? From a practical perspective. So the levels, they are just basically structured on this way. And the gamification part is basically, we have like two things. There are rewards for the champions. So like they have budget for conference, for training, certification, right? This is pretty much easy. But we are trying, I mean, still on support from the high management, we are trying to attach the position of a security champion itself to his job description. So means that champion, that person will have her promotions, bonuses, other kind of stuff attached to the things that this person is doing. Not only those trainings and some kind of things, but also pocket, right? It touches in your pocket. From one side motivates you more. From another side, you might think like, okay, so if I don't do, I get less bonus. Yes. But it's the way we found attractive, or let's say the way that the company found to make sure everybody will engage. It's still optional. Like you are not obliged to be a champion. Each team doesn't need to have a champion, but it's where I see the companies moving towards, right? So basically, that's a panorama, I would say, from the program itself.
Okay. Can I ask one follow-up on this one? Because it's interesting. Like you're saying like there is a carrot and a stick, but it's like optional. So if you get into the program, you get those two, but you can opt out of the program.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty interesting. That it's not obvious when you think about it. It's quite interesting.
And it's the people who joins the program, it's working. Like they are pursuing the goals. They are like exchanging with us, finding problems here and there. They design the program together. But I mean, it's working, right? But I believe that the company will be like, okay, now it's obliged. Each team must have a security champion. They will not point you or like, person by person, but it will be mandatory at some point. Because our CISO said, our company has from 0 to 100 years so far, and we will not have more 100 years doing security as we were doing in the past, right? The threats are growing every day. Carina just mentioned about AI and all the threats and everything. Like, it's impossible to run from that, right?
I love how you aligned the company needs with the personal goals of those champions. And can you tell me how you leverage AI, how they leverage AI in order to progress through the levels and move to get to this black belt goal?
Yes, there are goals that are pretty much easy. So, for example, with Cycode, we integrate in our GitHub, for example, and all the repositories being scanned. It's part of one of the goals. It's there. But they have goals like, okay, you need to finish a training, 12 hours training. Like you need to watch the videos, do the labs and so on. So there's not much AI. Of course, you can study, get the topic and so on, but there's not much that they can do. But there are goals such as, okay, I need to reduce the risk of my application by X%. Awesome. How do I do that? Here are my findings or my violations or my vulnerabilities. How is the best way to fix it? How to prioritize? So all this kind of operational things, AI is helping a lot, right? Because it's a bunch of work that can reduce for you or even do for you itself. So for example, okay, fix me this violation. I have a vulnerable library. Fix for me what I have to do. And of course, Cycode is helping with that a lot because of the functionality itself. But of course, we benefit from other AIs that we are using in the company. And of course, they benefit from that. Even though me as a designer of the program itself, we are not saying, okay, you need to do this way. We give the goal. How they're going to get to that goal is up to them. And I know some of them are easy to automate, easy to use AI. Some of them are just not, right? Like doing the trainings, for example. But yeah, basically, I think that it's more operational things. AI is helping a lot. Fixing vulnerabilities, of course, is one of them. And communication. Because, for example, we can get, okay, you have a critical finding. This is one thing. But if I say, okay, your payments application has a critical finding with a high business impact because A, B, or C, it changes how the perspective of that message, right? Instead of just an item as a backlog, it's actually, okay, it's something that can harm the company or damage the reputation or make us lose money. And so translate the vulnerability itself into a real impact to the company or to the person or to the society or whatever. Change even the mindset of the prioritization. Okay, it's not just a critical bug in my backlog. It's actually something that can damage the company. Right?
I see. Carina, you and your team are also leveraging AI to support triage and run exploitability analysis. Can you tell us how that looks like? How do you use AI for that?
Sure. Cycode actually has a really great tool that will Maestro will help you with checking exploitability. That has helped us a lot, honestly, with supply chain vulnerabilities. There's a lot of them that come through, and sometimes we don't actually know how or if we can be exploited with these vulnerabilities with supply chain. Sometimes it's a little bit more on the vague side, or we have to be using a specific type of feature in the supply chain for it to actually be impacted. And it's hard for us to go digging through the code to figure out, hey, are we actually using this? So the fun part about Maestro was that it will go check for us and say, hey, these are the markers that say, hey, are we using this, this, and this? Then yes, it's exploitable. Or it will say, hey, you're not using these portions here, or you have mitigations here, so it's not really as exploitable. That helps us. I can't tell you how much it has helped to working with our developers and letting them know, hey, actually, this came out as critical, but it's really not. It's actually a low. Here's our proof why. You guys are okay to work on this, or this came out as a low, but actually it is a bit more critical because we're using all these tools, but we have a justification. And it makes it so that we're able to communicate well with our engineers and not say we think, or no, we actually have actual proof of how this might impact us. That's been really helpful when it comes to triage and exploitability analysis. Also, we do a lot more of being able to search our code. AI allows us to search a little bit more, so we're able to say, hey, um, do we have this mitigation in place for this vulnerability, this SaaS vulnerability? Or can we look a little bit more into why the SaaS vulnerability is coming out the way it is? Where is the actual source and sink versus what is being perceived by the short test that we were able to put through? It allows us to dig a little bit deeper and have more information around our vulnerabilities that are coming out of the scanners so that we can give something that's actionable to our developers, something that they can actually concretely say, hey, yes, this is a grave thing. We're not just having you stop work for something that we're unsure about. It definitely provides us a lot more context, and it makes it a lot easier to fix too, because now we know exactly what's wrong. If we know exactly, then we're spending less time on the poking around and the triaging and more time on actually putting out fixes in a really quick manner. Um, so that's kind of a lot of how this has worked out for us in triaging and integrating with some of the AI tools to do so.
That's great. I think you will love the upcoming functionality we just announced about like those agents into workflows, because that's the point, is to even do that at like 100x scale, I would say. But it's great to hear like the success you have with that, and I think ultimately meaning like you do more qualitative work at the end of the day, because what you and your team and your development team are doing is like things that really matters, and you're not losing time on like low value, maybe critical violation, but ultimately not exploitable, so it doesn't really matter that much.
Very excited about it. I'm sorry, I just was I'm very excited about it being put in workflows. It's something that we were just trying to figure out as we are trying to automate some of the process when it comes to working with Maestro. So it's very exciting to hear.
That's going to be huge. I'm very impatient, actually. So yeah, talking about actually AI and AI models, I wanted to discuss about like what we call like frontier AI model, because like clearly like the models are becoming more and more capable. I think there is no more real question about like could it also help attackers like find and exploit vulnerabilities faster. I think all the stories regarding Mythos and etc. I think it's quite telling. So I was wondering, and Cassio, maybe you can start on this one. Like, is that change of the landscape and how powerful those models are becoming and are being able to help attackers? Is it changing how you think about risk overall and how you manage your vulnerability backlog? Do you do things differently? Like, is it something you're preparing? Because also those models are actually getting even better, and in 6 months, who knows where they will be? Is it changing anything today?
Yeah, I think that old and gold sentence, like a knife can be used to cut the meat on your dish or to kill someone or to save a patient's life, right? It really depends. A pen, you can do the same. So it's not about the tool itself, like AI or anything else that will come to the future. It's about the people behind it, right? So yeah, of course it's changing because with the AI, we are scaling the capabilities of fixing vulnerabilities also to exploit vulnerabilities, right? And my totally personal perspective is that we have more bad people in the world than good people in the world. So that would translate also to our area. So which means there are more people attacking and trying to find breaches here and there and exploit here and there than people defending. I used to say for the attackers it's an easy job. Now we're gonna get hacked, but it's an easy job because they need to find one of our problems. We need to know all of our problems to defend ourselves. So yeah, of course it's changing how we see AppSec in general. And more, I think it's pushing towards the I don't like this sentence, but anyway, the shifting left stuff, because the most left of a software development or a software itself is the functional requirement, right? Is when the idea started in someone's head or the need and so on. So there it should start with security, but you need to train everyone in security, so it's impossible. From the prompt, from the first line of code, from the functional requirement itself, there where AI can help. Like, okay, I want a login page. AI, please do this login page PCI compliance for me or bulletproof for me, right? So even if you don't have the idea of what that means, but the AI will give you at least some of control, some of things that should be there from the beginning, right? Because once we are in production, we are at risk. So definitely it's changing. Also our capabilities, again, to find problems, to help teams, to build secure software, no doubt.
And for you, Carina, like kind of same question, like is it changing the way you think about risk, how you approach security with your teams or your development team as well?
Yeah, it definitely is. I think some of the biggest thing that I'm seeing now is we used to have back in the day when it comes to hackers, script kiddies. And you're like, oh, well, not a lot of people like to be script kiddies, usually newer. It's harder to vary entry to do more complex things when it comes to the younger people who are just getting into the job. That's not the case anymore. Like, people are able to easily do more sophisticated attacks now when they're just starting out. So we're going to see a lot more of broader, sophisticated attacks where it's not just, hey, I found this one thing through OSINT. No, people can actually launch full supply chain attacks now because AI is telling them how to do it. And so this is where we have to shore up our landscape a little bit and be a little bit more sure on what tools we're using in third parties that we don't have control over. It's a lot of shoring up that CI/CD pipelines, shoring up the supply chain, and ensuring that we have proper protections that make it so that it's not about kind of when you get hacked, but what happens afterwards. Like making sure that we're protected in those situations, because it's highly more likely now that something will happen. We, as Cassio just said, we have to know every vulnerability. That's almost impossible to know in this state because we don't control everything. So at this point, it's all about making sure that we have the defense in place to manage it if something does happen. Things like knowing all our threat intelligence and things like that come before, and as soon as an exploit is out, we know it, we action on it, we check for it. Being almost ahead of the game is kind of the best way to go when it comes to handling some of the AI models, and using AI to do that is also very helpful.
Yeah, like I guess we need to be extremely reactive because, like you mentioned, like once we know it's exploitable, like a minute later, someone is going to exploit it. So we cannot wait a month before like doing something. But yeah, so like you mentioned a lot supply chain here, which is obviously like the biggest concern today. Do you like put like more manpower, I would say, like behind those problems today, or is it like more like the tool and equipping yourself and the team like with tools to be able to do that at that scale?
It's more like tools. I don't think manpower is actually needed. I think it's just more refined and more efficient manpower. I don't think we need to add more, but we need to come a little bit more before where we're saying we're okay. I think we need to become more excellent at managing our supply chain, where we would allow a lot more leeway. I think we need to be a little bit more rigid now. And then also, as I said, you don't need more manpower when we have things like psycho threat detection and threat intelligence. They tell us, so all we just need to know is make sure that we have somebody monitoring or have some way of notifying our AppSec team so that they know when, as soon as a threat comes out, we can review and check. It's a lot of just making sure that you have your bases covered. But I don't think that is as necessary to have more people on that. I think it's just making sure that what we're doing is standardized, and making sure that everything is being done the proper and more efficient way. Otherwise, we end up just not being able to get things done as quickly as we like, and that's not the case. I think we're looking for a bit more speed and refinement more than we are looking for extra hands.
Yeah, more automation. I think this is what we say, like AI for security. Essentially, that's kind of the other side of it. We're almost at time, but before we close, I wanted to ask both of you like two questions. First one is, what is one capability that you have today as a security team that you didn't have a year ago and that you actually cannot live without anymore? And the second one is like, which one is like your wish list for what's coming next year? Basically, your like number one, like I would say feature request, like top wish list that you need.
The one I don't give up definitely is the visibility one, like the capability of connect everything and have everything in one place. without depending on development teams or anybody else, right? As security team, we just go there, plug and play, and it's done. This is something that very hard to give up. And the wish list, I would say, context, because it's easy to achieve 1,000 vulnerabilities, 1 million vulnerabilities even, right? Or findings or violations, whatever. But it's hard to say, okay, from this 1,000 cross company, you need to focus on this 10 here. Why? This why is needed today. And of course, with AI, with the company effort itself, people involved, developers, AppSec, champions, whatever, you need that context somehow compiled together to make sure that you drill down, like you have this funnel, for example, in Cycode, right? To get this funnel like to the one, you know, what is the one thing that I mean, one or even 1,000, but okay, with proper reasoning and why and how to fix and so on. Because again, a library that you are using that have a critical vulnerability that can explode the word, but you are not using on your code, or is in transitive dependence, like, okay, I don't want even to know about it. Yeah. On the other hand, if it's a direct dependency on a library that I'm using and the vulnerable code is being reached, like definitely it's more priority, right? Or a secret exposing somehow. So this context, somehow I think it's something that is desired from every security tool, not even from AppSec, right? From everywhere.
True. And your context is not just an AppSec context. Actually, you want like a broader context up to the business itself. Very interesting. Carina?
I would agree as well with visibility as far as the first thing that I could not give up right now. I'm beyond excited with how much I can see that's going on when it comes to development, because there's not always time for development to stop and share and say, hey, security, we're doing this. Sometimes we're moving very quickly, and that's understandable. So being able to see what's going on, how it's going on, and if we need to add support anywhere, lean in somewhere to add support is just invaluable for my team. We love that it's in one place too, so we don't have to go to 12 different places to do so, as we have enough things that we're trying to manage. So being able to just say, hey, check the visibility here. Here's a list of all the skills that everyone's using across the company. Here's a list of all the MCPs everyone's using across the company. All right, now we can kind of make things that are actionable and secure all of those places. Or when there's a threat, we know, hey, we are using this. We need to go check on these group of people who are using these things. It's extremely invaluable. As far as what I would like forward, I think honestly somewhere reaching or somewhere supporting a little bit more on the design review side. And doing threat modeling in early designs and incorporating that a little bit into the process, and of doing comparatively what the design and the architecture is, the threat model is to the vulnerability that we see. I think incorporating that process will make things even easier and more streamlined for AppSec, and also make those vulnerabilities more vital as to that funnel where, hey, we're narrowing down things because here's our threat model, here's the design of this feature. Okay, now you know that these are things already in place, these mitigations already in place. Is this vulnerability nearly as essential as you think it is, or is the risk score much lower? Those things will help us to narrow down that funnel that Cassio was talking about down to the few that are essential to the team. So I think
it's context again, basically. It's a very specific type of context, but it's context, so it's interesting, like you're kind of matching here.
Yep, I'm with Cassio 100%. So yep, that is.
No, great. Well, amazing insight. Well, Carina, Cassio, thank you so much for the conversation. I guess we could have like a lot more questions, but yeah, it's kind of time to conclude for the audience. I guess what's come through like our conversation here is that for you, your teams, like agentic development and AI for security is like it's here. It's a reality. It's not like something that we're talking about for the future. So we need to build a security program to match it right now. And this is what you're doing. And you just give us a glimpse of that right now. I think that's kind of the signal we're looking for. Obviously, the audience and people listening here is like, if you want to get ahead of it, and getting ahead is like a big word nowadays because things are moving extremely fast. But you need to actually learn, you need to adjust, you need to change, you need to keep up with the pace essentially. And it's a hard pace to match definitely for everyone here. So not about watching, not staying on the sideline, but yeah, being in the action essentially. And interestingly, both sides matter. And we had that conversation, and that was kind of the dual pitch in our original presentation with Roni. It's like security for AI and AI for security. It's really like those two sides of the same coin essentially, and they are like not optional, I would say. So thanks again Thanks, Carina. Thanks, Cassio, for joining us today, helping us shape how we take the product and what we're building. And I think we just heard some very interesting aspect regarding context. So clearly, stay tuned, I would say. But with that, I will hand it back to Monica for our next session. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.